The performance gap. Nobody talks about understanding the access problem. There's a specific kind of person who confuses everyone around them, not because they're difficult, because they're inconsistent, brilliant one day, completely unreachable the next, and no one, including them, can figure out why.
I want to talk about what actually creates that gap. Because most explanations get it wrong. They look at the output. The missed deadlines, the unfinished work, the spotty track record, and work backward to a cause. Lazy, careless, doesn't care enough. But what if the output is a symptom, not the story? What if the real issue is happening one layer deeper, at the level of access?
The access problem. Here's what I mean. Capability and access to that capability are two completely different things. Most people assume they're the same. If you have it, you can use it. But that's not true for everyone. Some people carry a consistent gap between what they're capable of and what they can produce on any given day. Not because of motivation, not because of skill, but because something in the system, between knowing and doing, keeps breaking down. Why it gets misread. The problem compounds because this gap is almost invisible from the outside. What people see is the aftermath. A student who does great on tests they find interesting and bombs the ones they don't. An employee who delivers something exceptional under pressure and then disappears for 3 days. A person who clearly understands the material but still can't seem to follow through. From the outside, the obvious read is attitude problem. From the inside, it's something else entirely. What's actually happening? The brain, for some people, doesn't respond to importance. It responds to activation, interest, urgency, novelty, pressure. Not this matters, but this is alive, which creates a paradox. You can fully understand that something needs to get done, you can want to do it, and still sit there completely unable to start. That's not laziness. That's a regulation problem. The system that's supposed to initiate just isn't firing. How the pattern builds. And here's where it gets quietly destructive. Because people adapt, they learn to manufacture the urgency their brain needs, deadlines, pressure, waiting until the last possible moment. It works, sometimes brilliantly, but over time it costs more than it produces. You get the output, but you also get the anxiety, the inconsistency, the exhaustion, and eventually the belief that you just can't be relied on, not by other people, by yourself. The story that fills the gap. When something doesn't have an explanation, people invent one, and the explanation that tends to stick, the one that gets repeated until you believe it, is a character explanation. You're just not disciplined enough. You don't want it badly enough. Other people manage this, why can't you? The issue is that these explanations feel almost right, because there are moments when the stars align and everything clicks, where it does look like a choice, which makes the gaps look like choices too. But what if those gaps were never about character? What if they were always about wiring? Conditions like ADHD don't always look like what people picture. They don't always look like hyperactivity or obvious distraction. In adults, especially adults who've had years to build workarounds, it often looks like chronic underperformance relative to ability, brilliant in bursts, unreliable in patterns, capable of everything, consistent at nothing. The shift isn't about trying harder. Trying harder inside a broken system just creates a more exhausted version of the same problem. The shift is in the question you're asking. Not what's wrong with me, but how does my system actually work and what does it need? Because the people who figure that out don't just stop struggling, they stop explaining themselves using the wrong story. If this resonated, I put together a short case file breakdown of the most common patterns people miss, the ones that tend to show up long before anyone gets a clear answer.
Click the link in the description to get your free download. Give the video a thumbs up, share, and subscribe.